Welcome back to wook+live weekend.
Wait, why did you play the old intro?
Because the new intro's audio is out of balance. We got to fix the audio. It's bleeding my ears out, man. I apologize. So yeah, welcome everybody. This Saturday is the 40th anniversary, allegedly, of that band PHiSH. So every other week we like pretend like we care about other things outside of the band, and like we try to keep it a little more balanced. But tonight we're gonna go unapologetically focused on that band that we enjoy all together and kind of go down memory lane and do a little recap bullshitting session. Why are you looking at me like that, Llama? You look skeptical. Skeptical Llama?
No, I'm if you notice it doesn't bump it up like it's supposed to. Somebody didn't set this up right. Now it's gonna bother me.
Oh yeah.
All right, we'll work on
Nice
that
to
for
be
us.
seen.
Yeah, we're happy to have you here, T.
Hopefully, may Henry Kissinger burn in hell for all eternity.
Ah, what a way to start off. Yeah. Just heard that right before we went live.
I have a vision of Jimmy Carter smiling to himself.
All right.
And he made it longer.
So we're gonna start personal, I think, because that's the best place. And Chad, I'm really curious to hear what you guys think about these things. So definitely like chime in with these. Well, SC, look at this topic right here. Nope, this way. Top fish memory. That's what we're gonna start off with, motherfucker.
I will argue there's a difference between top and favorite.
Okay. Which would you rather do, and what's the difference?
The
'Cause
difference, I think, a
understand.
top would be like the best you've seen them on, and then it's more of like a fish performance level, and like a favorite would probably be tied into like the surroundings, the atmosphere, the moment. It's personal.
Okay. Yeah, Jason's with you on that logic. I think you could argue it either way, but let's go with that. I like that. Well, Llama, why don't you take us off with it then? What do you want to do, top or favorite? It's up to you. You can pick.
I'll do favorite.
Well, aren't they both? So,
Yes,
just
just
pick one and
let
call it.
him go with it. It's fine, man. It's all
I'm gonna
right.
say Saturday night 3 of Dick's this year, when they played the Howling, and we were wearing the jerseys, and like everybody was doing the howl, that was just like a moment, and the way like the stands kind of surround you, so almost with the echo that it's an echo sample. You said, Kev?
Yes,
Yeah.
like the wave. It sounded like but it sounded like the wave.
Yeah, and then everybody just circled around you, and it was just a moment, and I got to celebrate it with folks that were there, friends of the channel,
Everyone except for me.
Everyone.
I'm
He didn't want to
sorry.
say that, and we all had our
No.
jerseys on. The jerseys was the
jerseys.
Yeah, the jerseys was the best. I was like, it's not gonna get any better than this, right?
That is very cool.
And I had gone into the night because they played Llama the night before, so I had no expectations. I was like, well, I don't really need to see PHiSH anymore, but
You're done.
know,
That was it.
yeah, but
Fuck it. I've seen Llama. I'm good.
I got the song I wanted. I'm out.
Yeah.
But no, it was such a great moment. Yeah, I would have to say that's probably, especially with everything with the channel and everything, it was like a culmination.
Yeah, that's cool. T, what about you? What's your favorite memory or top memory? Do you want to come back to? Do you want to think about it?
I would say probably either Vegas 96 or Lincoln 95 are my two tops. Lincoln 95 was just, I drove out there with a couple friends, ended up going with like this total, is my buddy's first show that I ended up going with, who is a big Pink Floyd fan, classic rock fan, but this was like totally outside of his element. So like dragging him in there. But then they open with a reprise. He got like a Highway to Hell. He got a Good Times, Bad Times. So he got songs like he knew and recognized and was like rocking. So he was like, this is fucking awesome. And like that night was just chaos. Like Nebraska had a home football game that day. And so like,
Did you get an American band that night? We're an American band. Didn't they do We're an American band? Okay.
No, not that night. But they handed out flyers for people what to do if confronted by drunk Husker fans. Talked like things to say to them and shit. Like it was really funny because it was like seeing the days, you know, when you'd go into a town and like the Deadheads would all invade the town or whatever. That's what Lincoln became that day. But it was a clash between like all the football people and the hardcore like red and everything, and then this influx of like all this riffraff. Yeah. But yeah, that was awesome. And then Lincoln 95, I was with like one of my best friends, and we were up in the balcony at the Aladdin, and like that.
Oh, Vegas for Vegas.
Yeah. And that just, I mean, mind blowing. And the Elvis thing was like probably the Elvis thing is probably one of my top memories of PHiSH, just seeing like Fishman, like the Elvis is doing their thing, and then him come out with the thing on and do it, and then them play Suspicious Minds. Like just. That was just chaos. Like those 90s shows, like it was those college years of like my life was chaos. The band was like chaos at that point. Like it was just like this perfect confluence of just like madness always happening at the shows. And it was like perfect because that's what you want in your like late teens of college and going to fucking concerts and, you know, partying. It's perfect.
Yeah.
So
that sounds awesome. Sounds like a blast.
It was a fucking blast.
In fact, it was.
How was college in a pre 9/11 society?
Nuts.
Free cell phones and social media.
That's the biggest key too. None of that shit, and even like the internet really and stuff. So
right.
Kev, you want to?
My favorite moment, the thing that sticks out to me the most, is going to Clifford Ball. I hadn't planned on going, and I went and bought a ticket from a buddy of mine's like, oh, my buddy's got a ticket for Hershey. So I went and bought the ticket. Turns out I went to high school with this guy. Hadn't seen him in years. And he's like, all right, I'll drive you up Hershey if you want, but we're going to Clifford Ball afterwards. And I was like, I don't got a ticket for that. He's like, oh, I got an extra. So I ended up going to Clifford Ball like 2 days before it happened. And but standing there during Divided Sky and turning around and looking at the crowd, I was by the soundboard, and I just thinking to myself, we made it. I couldn't believe that the band I used to see in a bar and then theaters had all these people that I turned around and looked at.
That's crazy how much it grew, and you're seeing that development in front of you is wild.
And my top musical memory is when Keezy came out. Somebody mentioned the Foreman and it popped in my head. I mean, it just, the madness of Keezy coming out and being like, we looked for it on the further tour, but we came to see PHiSH. It was the true first torch passing that there ever was, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I had a couple too, and they're not as heady and old because I'm a little bit younger, but one that came to mind was the announcement in 2008, I think it was like October, November, it was like late fall, that the band was getting back together, and how that, like, all my friends and my brother and everybody, like, we heard rumors and we thought it was coming, and when it was all official, that just like pure excitement, because I had planned on, my brother was going to take me to Coventry, and that was going to be my first festival, my first show and everything. I've been listening for years, but that was the first one I was going to, and then I had family shit come up and I had to cancel, which in hindsight turned out to probably be for the best. But then I literally spent the next 5 years in like what if, and like the regret and everything. So just the pure like ecstasy and like release of excitement of like, hey, I get another chance, they're back, was fucking great. But then as like an actual being at PHiSH, for me, probably my top moment was the end of the Baker's Dozen, having gone through that. And I know Kev gets to say over and over again how he saw PHiSH in a bar. I get to talk about going to the Baker's Dozen. It's
no, that's huge. That really is a huge accomplishment.
And the banner and the whole excitement in the crowd after doing that. And I was with a group that had done all 13, like we had done it, you know what I mean? And like the camaraderie and just like that specialty. Cause like I always heard stories about Big Cypress, right? Like everybody hears the stories about Big Cypress, and not having been able to do it is like one of the like. That's why 3.0 like new fans are always kind of like have that weird chip, like you know what I mean, not chip, but like they're kind of. It's because we're all jealous, right? We wish we got to see. So this was the first time that I was like, hey, I got something that I feel is, I don't know. So that was a great memory. But honestly, I feel like there's a lot of small moments too that aren't like historical things that people remember that are just like great shows. Like I caught a Forbins in Raleigh, I think. It was either Raleigh or Charlotte. I always get those two mixed up, but it was just like this, read the fucking book and like, it was really
You know what?
special.
I instead of chasing shows and these huge moments, what I chase with PHiSH now are the little moments. When they do like the song I heard the Ocean sing they did at MSG this last tour, that for me are like, okay, I'm not going to get a whole show where I'm like, oh my God, this is the greatest thing ever. But if I can get some of those moments, that's what I guess I'm still chasing.
Like when they can get through It's Ice without any flubs, and you're like, they nailed it. Slappy's giving me shit. That's fine. Thanks, Slappy. Yeah, and then also too, like outside of the band, like this in 4.0 and with wook+ and stuff, I've really the moments like meeting you guys for the first time at Dick's that one year and like getting to meet everybody and like the lot and stuff like that shit's fucking. I love those memories. That gets you through the off season, right? Like I don't know if other people think of it that way, but I think of going to the shows and seeing live music as like going to the gas station for the year. And like I'm charging up my batteries and I'm filling up with the memories and the good vibes and the chillness. And then I go into the real world with all the bullshit and the stress and the hecticness. And I'm just depleting slowly through those reserves of like fucking awesomeness. And then eventually it gets real low and you're like, all right, time to go back and plug in.
And then you're trying to fix up going and seeing like a third tier PHiSH cover band.
Just gotta fix. I just need a little bit.
Just give me something, man. Come on.
Next thing you know, you're in the back of a goose lot or a goose lawn. You're just like, come on, Rick, just give me a little bit.
It's not the same. It's not the same, but it's close.
It's close. God.
Yeah.
All right. The most important moment. Someone mentioned Amy's farm. I would throw that and Ian's farm out as being pivotal moments for PHiSH.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's a good one.
As far as important moments, yeah. That's our next category.
Yeah, so now it's like not as personal and more just like global history. I think Cypress, because I already brought it up, I think that's like an obvious go-to one. So I just get that one kind of like out of the way. I think at this point that's pinnacle, right? Like I think that's unanimous across the fandom. It's kind of like you get that out of the way, everybody thinks that's peak, and then you can go go out from there.
I would go all the way back to most important moments when Paige played with him the first time, and then a few months later when Jeff left. That whole little section of time is what
when Jeff found Jesus was the most important moment in PHiSH history.
Well, no, but if any one thing had happened, if Jeff had stayed longer, who's to say that PHiSH would have become what they were?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. I think the Hampton Fluffhead is a crucial, critical moment. Yeah,
definitely.
I think Trey's bad night in upstate New York is a very critical moment in the history of PHiSH as far as
just straight importance.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. And just
and it's something that might fit in the next category also, Coventry. That was an important moment for the band because it was warts and all. This is as ugly as it gets.
Right. Coventry is to biggest misses the same way as Cypress is to most important moments. Right? It's definitely the biggest.
Yeah.
What about in 3.0? Like, is there any
I think there's a couple in 3.0.
Yeah.
I think Thrilling Chilling and that move into, well, I guess it was Wingsuit, But see, wingsuit was still a
Hmm.
costume. It was just a costume of themselves. I think Thrilling Chilling really changed because now you see what came after it with Cosmo and Sci-Fi. I think that whole trajectory of that like 5-year period or 6-year period stemmed off that one night and that conversation he had with his daughter. Yeah,
Yeah.
Magnum Ball, Jason, I agree with that. And fuck her pants.
Trey playing with Fairly Well, I think, was a really
Yeah.
important
That's
moment
a
for
huge
PHiSH.
moment.
So,
I think
and yes,
too-
come to play. I was at that Wolf Trap show. Leprechaun. I think we got at the Leprechaun that night.
I think 2 big moments for the band too. I think 93 playing Red Rocks for the first time put them in that category of playing that arena, and then getting booted from Red Rocks in 96 after the 4-night run because they'd outgrown it in 3 years, 4 years. And I think both of those were important sort of pivotal moments that recognized the band into this new sphere of what they could play, and then kicking them out of that sphere because they got too big for it too fast. And like, all right, now get to the next phase. Now
In
go
a very
play
short order.
arenas. Yeah. So,
I would say, I was going to say, releasing a live one, I think, was probably a very important moment too, because that introduced people to the band more in their environment, right?
and you could almost put that all the way down in Fish and Pulp culture, because that album alone sort of became that album. Like that's sort of what was the first inkling of like listening, especially live, and not just hearing a studio album of them, like trying to actually get somebody to hear them like bouncing. I would say, you know, like bouncing off of that album probably introduced a lot of college people into that band at that time.
I listen to a lot of Fish podcasts, and like, you know, we're connected with a lot of different Fish podcasts, and one of like the standard go-to questions like, oh, how did you find Fish? And a live one is the answer more times than anything else, except for a friend at Jewish camp. I don't know why, but it feels like, oh, I was at a Jewish summer camp and the counselor was playing Fish was like the common answer. But aside from that is, oh, I heard a live one. And I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've heard that in interviews.
Yeah.
The Tahoe Tweezer.
I was going to say, I wrote down Tahoe Tweezer actually on my list. That was definitely
the Europe tours. I mean, that's a bunch of moments, but the Europe tours totally. In '97, it allowed them to become a different band. I don't know if Alpine Ruby Waves is.
You shut your whore mouth, Kev.
Ruby Waves.
I would take Tahoe Tweezer over Ruby Waves though, and I feel like if you're gonna do a Monster 3.0 jam, you should probably limit it to one. And I personally would put Tahoe above Alpine.
I would pick Alpine Ruby Waves solely because it's the 3.0 song instead of a 3.0 band jamming out a 1.0 song.
Okay,
fair enough. I would go with the MSG.
Yeah, I wouldn't put Ruby Waves anywhere. Right next to fucking Drift while you're sleeping somewhere.
The 2019 Tweezer at MSG for New Year's run.
Yeah,
as far as recents, yeah.
The fucking whales. That was fucking crazy. Now we're just talking about cool shit. I don't know how important it was.
I don't know how big a moment that was, but
all right, some of the biggest misses. I let me throw something out here because it was successful in the music they played, but Oswego, because it was weird. It was a festival in the middle of the tour. It was 195 degrees there. It was just it
can't actually be
strange.
195 degrees. That would melt your skin.
Yeah.
Right.
It was just weird where they put the tour, where they put it, as opposed to closing the tour, I guess. And it seemed to, I think it gets discounted, even though the music was good, when you look at all the festivals because of where it was.
Okay, but I think if we're gonna go festival route, I think Coventry and Curveball both count as bigger misses than Oswego.
Right. Sure.
But
sure.
I hear your logic there.
I want to address a comment real quick.
Sure.
I would have to disagree here with Mr. Rob. I would say that the end of 1.0 and start of 1.1 would be 1988 when they went to Colorado. I would say that would be the beginning of when they changed from New England centric to being a national band.
Wow.
All right, we got a trivia question for the chat. What was Mike's girlfriend's name? in Colorado.
Oh,
in
I was just gonna say something really.
No, I know what you're gonna say. No, good job.
Oh my god, I'm so glad I bit my tongue.
Her boss was the guy who owned the Club Roma where they played, I guess.
Oh my god. What other were misses? I thought Rescue
Misses?
Squad, not the
Yeah,
actual Rescue Squad song that kind of salvaged it, but like
Right.
the
the
whole pan flute.
the planned thing and getting stuck. I like the pan flute, but the getting, I don't know. Yeah, maybe not the plan. The whole New Year's was kind of a miss.
Yeah.
Right.
I
Winter
think.
Queen was a miss for Halloween. Doing that album.
The
Yeah.
the wingsuit.
Yeah, wingsuit. That was a miss.
No,
for
it
doing
was a
Halloween.
miss for pretentious, stuck up, entitled fans that were hoping to get Frank, Joe's Garage, but in
Get on that
reality,
soapbox.
yeah. I think that was a brave move on the band's part. And you got fucking Abe Vigoda, Can't call it a miss if you get Abe Vigoda. I guess you can.
Yeah, you can.
What about, I think also Fish 3D was a missed opportunity. Or maybe there was an opportunity there, and maybe just the fact that they tried it and they fell into that like trend of everybody doing blank 3D. But that was kind of awkward.
The Bittersweet Motel movie, probably one of their biggest misses.
It's so terrible, and I love it. I want to just inject that into my veins.
Hold up. Is Slappy really saying Casbot was a miss? Is that what he's implying?
Yeah, I think that's
No,
what
I think he's saying
I
that
don't
was
think
an
he's implying it. I think
important
he's explicitly stating it.
I think I'm going to explicitly say it. He's wrong. I think that was great for what it was in the short amount of time that they pulled that off. Like, that's
one of the
amazing.
funnest
There's no way you would say
Halloweens
that's
too.
a
That was
mess.
so much fun.
All right, let me ask
Okay.
you, out of
It wasn't.
Casbot
Okay.
or Sci-Fi Soldiers, which was a better fake band?
Casbot.
Casbot. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Although I
Casbot was a better
appreciated
show.
Sci-Fi Soldiers, but
Right.
Sci-Fi was more derivative of Casbot. Casbot was fully original, it felt like.
Casbot was just more fun. It just had more of that silliness and sort of that, I don't know. The show was better too. The way they leaned into it in their outfits and the floor and all of that. Sci-Fi was a little bit more. I mean, like we talked about, Kev, was a little bit more
COVID-y.
Well, that, but like scary and like it was a little darker. It was a little, all the way around, which was cool, which was awesome. But I think Casbot was a lot more fun. And to Tim's point, Sci-Fi felt like Casbot 2.0 type thing.
It felt like they tried to recapture their youth a little bit, right? Like when you try to go back to something that, a vacation and like a cabin that was really great 5 years ago, and you go back and try to recreate it, and it's just not the same.
It felt like the second episode of
like.
Moon Cabin, where like we hit something really good, and we're like, "Oh, we're gonna do a sequel," and then like we kind of missed it.
Yeah,
they're like,
do you know
well, imagine this though. What, Kev?
Do you know there's a full Moon Cabin movie?
No,
soon.
there in fact is not.
The Snyder cut.
Yeah, the Hogan cut.
The Hogan cut.
The Hogan cut.
All right, release it, and then we'll have a poll, and we'll say, should this have been released, or should we have done a tax write-off?
Members only release.
Yeah, we could do it as a members only release.
There you go. There you go. Perfect.
No, listen, I don't think Sci-Fi was a complete miss either. But the question was Sci-Fi versus Casbot. I'm not one of the Sci-Fi haters. Like I think it was there were some really good ideas in there. I like a lot of those songs.
Do you think if they had
Casbot
not played
better.
that Halloween show because of the festival and not done Casbot, that doing Sci-Fi would have been
impossible,
bigger? No, I don't think impossible. I think it just would have been it would have been bigger. Like Casbot felt the creativity that came out of that because of what they had to do and like threw it together. So not quickly, but so there wasn't a lot of planned time. I wasn't like, okay, next year we're going to do that and like plan it out. Like I'm sure sci-fi was more of, with the comic book and all that stuff.
Right.
So I think like that ball of creativity, like, doing something in the moment quicker sometimes spurns that, how you wait
Right,
till the last minute to do
time
shit.
to overthink it and fuck it up. No, I think that's definitely a valid thought. I one thing I really liked about sci-fi that I think gets overlooked is that it connects the PHiSH universe in a very like actual, objective way, like other than just being from like the band PHiSH, right? Like it pulls in threads from original songs on Rift and things. It pulls in things from Cosmo Fox. It like ties all these themes together in the actual like writing and stuff. And like as like a comic book nerd and as like a pop culture, like like somebody that enjoys that shit, like I think that's very cool. But I think that also weighs it down and it's too thought out, right? Like I think it needed to be more organic.
All right. So Eric said that he'll take either one of them over Thrilling Chilling. Where do you put Thrilling Chilling against the two of them?
I think Thrilling Chilling's top for me. Well,
Yeah,
it's close. Cosmot might be up there, but I think Thrilling Chilling was so far of a departure from anything they had done that it opened up the opportunities for everything else. Without Thrilling Chilling, you don't have any of that shit. Plus, like Birds and Martian Monster, and like there's some of those songs like fucking are great jam vehicles. Like they still slap.
The thing about Chilling Thrilling was there was really no way to go wrong, right? Because you're taking this like little mold of this song and turning it into your own jam vehicle, like whatever that may be. Right. So whatever it is, like
you're basically taking a vocal cue,
right,
spoken prompt, and making,
and then just going in and telling the story through your instruments and expanding on what was already there, kind of like taking the smaller painting and then enlarging it and making it this bigger thing. Like with Casvot, it was like truly all original look, music, lyrics, like a fake band, all of that. So
yeah, but it used the sample trick from Thrilling Chilling. Faceplant Into Rock having the sample on Page's keys would not have happened without They Attack and Your Trip Is Short.
I don't know, because it's pretty proggy and Page is pretty proggy as it is. I think Casvot owes a lot more to.
You're saying without Thrilling Chilling, Page wouldn't have figured out samples on his keyboard?
Never.
Well, I think that became way more used and like a go-to thing because of Thrilling Chilling. He's on interviews talking about how he had to rearrange his rig and figure out the best way to have that many samples brought in. Okay. Now it's like everybody has sample pads and shit, but like I think that I would credit that to Thrilling Chilling. I mean, eventually he probably would have had samples because like a lot of people do that, but
I want them to do an album of another band. It's all
now I do. I think they got to mix it up, and they've done a lot of weird shit. So now go back, just like throwing the Bowie in that one year.
I think the point of doing like Halloween was the cover, right? Because it was like that was like the Halloween. You're putting on a mask of the other band and doing that. You're not putting on your own mask and playing your own music, or no matter how creative that is. Like I want them to go back and cover albums. I always thought that was like fucking super cool.
Yeah, but after another 3 years of doing that, I would want them to go back to doing something unexpected and create. You know what I mean? I think the back. But it would depend on what they were covering. Really
like it'd be sweet, like some of the albums they could cover and stuff. Just look at like Thrilling Chilling. Like you get these, who knows what the fuck they're gonna do. That's what was always so fun too. Was like, what the fuck are they gonna cover?
All right, you're saying Thrilling Chilling counts as a cover and not as an oddball. Casvot would be the oddball.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, they covered an album for Cosmo Fox. It was just a fake album.
It's their own, right? It was
Sci-Fi was really the first one that they didn't cover an album.
Right. Well, and then to say.
No, that was like a space opera, like a music, like an operetta type of thing, right? Like it was a departure from a covering of an album.
Right.
I think.
Can we just say that the Bowie Halloween was good too? I just want to throw that
great.
Oh, I love
it. I want to hear them do Steely Dan's The Royal Scam. That's the album they need to do for Halloween.
No.
What do you want them to cover, Llama?
Come back to me on that. No,
Papers,
I got
please,
it.
all you want.
I want them to cover the Killer's Hot Fuzz. Or
That'd be
Hot
sweet.
Fuzz. Yeah.
That'd be
I think
cool.
that would be cool. Like, I want to hear a rocked out Mr. Brightside, right? I want to see what they do with all these things.
That would be epic
right?
because every Fish fan knows that song's lyrics anyway, just
Yeah.
like everybody knows that song's lyrics.
Exactly.
So that would be pretty funny. That would be pretty funny.
I want them to cover Yes album or the Yes album or maybe a Genesis album.
The
I'm
one
not
with
sure.
Owner of a Lonely Heart? Yes.
Yeah.
can work with
Genesis
that.
would be sweet. A Yes album would be sweet.
Yeah.
A Police album would be sweet.
Oh, yeah.
I
The
still-
one with
I would think-
the World Is Running Down. That one, Driven to Tears. Yeah. That would be
think-
awesome.
There's a few that I would like. I mean, I know
Moon Cabin.
I
That's
think they
the
should
only
do,
Goose
like-
album I know.
I think they should do like I know Kev's not a fan, but like a Clapton, but not necessarily Clapton, like Derek and the Dominoes, or like an
Cream.
older one because the Cream.
No,
they
but
could
they
do,
can't do Cream because
Disraeli Gears and do the live stuff, do the spoonful and all that.
yeah.
You know, I
but
mean, he
that-
plays Layla. He plays Layla with what's his name twice now, or at least once. So they could fucking do it. He should bring Layla.
Well, I mean,
over
they
and just
can
the
do
whole
it. They
album.
have the skill, but Cream's sound with Jack Bruce and Ginger Baker and Clapton is like a very boiled down, like traditional blues rock 3-piece, and nobody in Fish plays like Trey does, but like Fishman doesn't play like Baker. They sound completely different. Page completely throws it off, right? Like I
You
just
know what
feel
I'd love
like
to
you would lose
hear them
the
cover
listeners
Kev
at
some
it.
Faces. They could cover Faces fucking fantastically. Like that would rip. I mean, I don't know about these days.
And
Old
get
Fish
Mike
could
to
definitely do
Mike to sing because Mike would probably sound the most like Rod the Mod.
Rod. Some of those songs for sure. I think Trey could rip some fucking Rod though.
So
Yeah,
you're probably
Smoke
gonna
Break-
get like a King Gizzard album or something. That's why I'm like,
no.
No,
Smoke Break. You know, they
might.
did there
Appa.
was a point where they were trying to get Peter Gabriel to do Lamb Lies Down on Broadway with them, but Petey was not down. He was like, "Nah, who are you guys?" What'd you say your name was? Goose?
Apostrophe would be sick.
Well, but now he should know who they are because they played the whatchamacallit, the Pop Music Hall of Fame and induction ceremony
Mm-hmm.
when Genesis got in.
The pop wasn't that the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Oh, you're being I
He's
fell
being
for it.
silly. He's being
Oh,
Kev.
Oh man. Speaking of falling for things, like what's the biggest fish conspiracy you fell for?
Yeah,
Well,
Kev, why don't you set us up on this one? Because this
All right.
was your idea, and I don't know if conspiracy is the right way to describe it, but I like the topic in general.
There have been a couple things that people have questioned. Like they say the first show was billed as Blackberry Conspiracy or something like that. I don't even know. Blackberry Convention. And they asked Trey and Fishman about it in 2019 at the Met for the interview on the Sirius show. And they were like, what are you talking about? We never played as that name. That's just
But
crazy.
it's still
But
on .net, which
it's
is
still on
crazy.
.net. And then there's the thing, the Guy Forget. How long was the Guy Forget that they played recently? Was it 17 minutes? Was it 2 minutes? And there and there's Party Time. Did they play Party Time or not?
Oh, you're just gonna list all of them, so we have none to add.
No, I'm throwing it out there. You guys run with whatever you think. Run with whatever you think, whichever one.
Kev
you
said,
want.
I did research on 3. I'm taking them. Fuck
I'm
y'all.
taking all the credit.
No,
Fuck you guys. You have
saying
no
where I
ideas.
stand. I'm not saying where I stand on any of it, except the first one. I'll say I believe Trey
.net.
and Fishman saying they
No,
never
I believe
played.
.net. I think they were super fucked up
um,
when their first show, and they don't remember what they billed it as. And I think they played Party Time, and I think Live Fish has the accurate time of
Yeah.
Forche.
Okay, I got one for you, Kev. I think it was night
Controversies.
1.
That's it. Thank you, Brian. I was like, this is not the right word, but I couldn't think of it.
Conspiracies.
There it is. Thank you. Yeah, fucking Kev, you made me put the wrong word up there.
All right, what you got, Lava?
I was gonna say, I remember when they played Olivia's Pool, they busted it out, and there was a big debate of, oh, is it really that, or are they just playing Shafty, right? Because
Oh,
they
yeah,
hadn't
that was-
before
the way
then
it
they
was
hadn't played Olivia's Pool since like 1.0.
Right. Well, it was out of Half the Way to the Moon at Merriweather, right? And they were trying to say that it wasn't Shafty because all 4 of them weren't playing it or something.
No, it's because it was the music. It was something about. I think it sounded like the instruments were like Shafty, but the way they were singing it was like Olivia's Pool. Like, I don't know. It was something like that. And you know what it is? It's because Phish fans can't live in nuance. We need to check boxes and put shit into a category for our stats.
It has to be
and we
neatly
can't just
filed
say
away.
that it was a third thing that's an amalgamation of the two. McGrupp, Trey absolutely got stuck on that platform. I was up on the Chase Bridge for that show, directly in line with Trey, staring him in the eye. And I have never seen any grown man, let alone Trey or someone famous, that fucking scared. Every time it swayed or moved, his eyes, like you could see into his soul, he was dying up there. That was not fake. There's absolutely zero chance that
he was going to have his Colonel Bruce moment.
Yeah, I think he really honestly thought that. That's how it looked. I think Dave's energy guide might be a conspiracy.
So Trey, while he's up there on the platform, he's thinking, God, I'll do whatever you want. And God says no. So Trey makes a deal with the devil, and that's why COVID happened. He traded his life for all of us having COVID.
We're just going to let this one linger.
Now there's a conspiracy for you.
There's Kev's worst takes.
He went out for it too. He just went for it. I'm like, oh man. T, do you got any controversies or conspiracies?
or.
I
don't know.
Wasn't there a Wolfman's one? I feel like there's one around Wolfman's recently.
About what?
It had a party time, didn't it?
Oh, is that the party time one? Oops. Well, I guess I just revealed where I land on that one.
There's also Mallory. They did a rotation jam in Philly in '95, I guess is when they were doing the rotation jams. And Fishman ended up on Page's rig playing piano, and he sang a song about Mallory. And they asked Fishman about it at the Sirius thing, the same thing from the Met. And he's like, that never happened. We never played a song named Mallory. And he denies that it happens, but you could go and re-listen and hear him doing this song.
Kev, my grandpa, I used to ask him questions about, I'd be like, hey, do you remember when, right? Because I lived it with him, and he said, no, it never happened. It just happens when people get old. The history just changes, right? It's what you remember.
Wait. What? Stop. God damn it. Yes. Whoever's doing that, fucking stop. I want to know what this is. Because I don't know
that guy. That guy posted that thing about it being like
dolphins aren't real.
Yeah, it wasn't real, and he was like, "This is like augmented or whatever," and these people aren't really seeing that thing. And then everyone's like, "Dude, it was actual drones. Like they were really in there."
It's not that complicated technology.
Yeah,
what are you talking about?
Trust me, we saw it.
It was crazy. Yeah, that guy made that video. It was kind of crazy. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, I did not hear.
I never heard of this. Yeah,
that's
interesting.
This is
news to me.
Well, there's that famous story.
I thought it was the other way around.
There's the famous story of Garcia pushing Lesh down the stairs after a show one night.
Somebody on one of our episodes, didn't we interview? Like, didn't Minkin talk about that?
I was
or
gonna
something?
say, wasn't it?
Yeah. And they ended up using the Dark Star from that night on Live Dead.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. The anger.
Yeah.
What the hell do the musicians know about what they're doing?
This is the
emotions.
This is the portion of the show where we just make shit up and start new rumors. And that way somebody in 5 years will be like, didn't you guys hear that on that one episode that yeah.
Why do people think this?
Right.
Well, that's Olivia Pool was in Berkeley.
No, is that
yeah.
No. It was at Merriweather.
It was at Merriweather?
Yes. Kevin and I were there, and I remember arguing with Scoot and Shafty. not right. I was arguing with Shafty about Shafty. Our friend Shafty was there, and I was like, "It's Olivia's pool." And he's like, "It's Shafty." I'm like, "Of course you're gonna say that. Your name's Shafty." Like,
but then there was a whole thing that they didn't want to put Shafty in Fishnet because the whole band wasn't playing it, and then there was a whole kerfuffle about that, and they ended up adding it.
Yeah. I don't think we should give the same reference to .NET that we do, but I'm also lazy and there has to be an authority. So that's kind of who it is without any other better option.
They do great things in that Mockingbird. Since we're getting close to Christmas, if you do donate,
I
money,
love Mockingbird. I am not saying anything negative about Mockingbird. I'm just
and they do. They can you imagine how hard it is? Even if you started when, say, 98, 99, when the internet first got started, building all those set lists then and then continuing for the past 20-some years, 25 years, adding to it and adding to it.
And they write reviews of every single show. Like, I mean, granted, it's not one person, like they solicit it, but like that's pretty fucking sweet.
And even though it's not transparent what the criteria necessarily is for a tease versus a full song, sometimes I feel like they're consistent.
Well, Scott takes it very seriously, and he deserves the accolades that he gets for it.
Oh, quadraphonic toppling. That's right. Yes. Did they play quadraphonic toppling?
Yeah, that's a good one. Man. So basically, this is the category of shit we argue about when we have.
Right.
It's like hashtag fish. Oh, I got a big miss. Hashtag fish 40. What the fuck happened with that? That was a huge miss.
And the Japan website. What was up with that?
That could have just been somebody else.
Yeah, that wasn't the fan.
Yeah, that's not the fan.
Are you sure?
The official fish Twitter account did the hashtag for like 2 weeks and then just stopped doing it with no
you know
explanation.
That sounds like? It sounds like they have a llama working for him who like does shit for 2 weeks and then it's like, all right.
Well, it's not just you. I think all of us are guilty of that. It sounds like Fish Inc. is a bunch of wooks just like us. I think they times we've announced shit on here and then nothing comes of it.
Well, I wonder if they had planned something with that hashtag and then by March it hadn't worked out, so they just dropped it.
Well, I did have a source close to the band say they were planning something and then it went away. I don't know if that's real or not, but they would track that they were like, hey, we're going to do something, but, you know.
It would track like a train.
Whoop, whoop. Chad, start throwing if you want. You want to throw in topics or questions. We'll keep bullshitting, but you know what I noticed too about the way the chat's working tonight is like people people aren't watching live, but they're still commenting in the chat and it's coming up live. So it's weird because like you could tell some people are like listening to like 15 minutes ago we're talking about something and they're like, oh, you know, anyway. What were you gonna say, Kev?
I was gonna say this is Llama's topic that he threw out there. What you got for fish and pop culture?
Oh, did we skip that?
Yeah.
No, we didn't. We're going into it right now.
We're going to talk about fish and pop culture. Why the chat is
while the chat gets the questions going. Yeah, perfect.
We know what we're doing. We got that. Yeah. Well, the easy one's The Simpsons, right? I mean, that's pretty iconic. If you know, we can talk about that. I think Harris Whittles was a good one too. CT on SNL when he had the Philly fish shirt during the end credits. Yeah.
Wait, is that the whole reason you pitched this idea so that you can bring
No, actually that one just came to me. Like,
I think that's the entire reason.
I was gonna say that Harris Whittles like brought it into the kind of the mainstream pop culture, you know, like for like a newer generation, but I think CT also did as well, like because Vampire Weekend appealed to a younger audience.
Fox,
yeah, all those NFL games is
Terrence Sherman.
Yeah,
there was a
Thanks, Slappy.
Thanks, Slappy.
There was a Cricket Wireless commercial. There was a Cricket Wireless commercial one time that had Gamehenge and 555 references. And there was also a Lifetime original movie called Presumed Dead in Paradise that the woman was reading an article called The Great Went. And there was a street that was Marco Escondolis Lane in it and a few other things dropped in that.
That's cool.
Like when you always hear at the airport paging Marco.
If you can find Lifetime movies.
I love the airport pages. I hope that never goes away. It's my favorite thing about traveling via air to fish.
And the
shows.
guy that got interviewed or that gets interviewed on the news all the time or whatever, but the
Yeah.
one like in Red Rocks and they got booted, the guy that made the paper and the news being it, and then it's good
Yeah.
stuff. Trading
That
your games.
that
Broad City.
What's that like HGTV show that Fish shows up on sometimes?
Main
it-
cabin.
the one in
something?
Main Cabin or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there was another serial show that had a bunch of references to fish as people's names in it. Like Susie Greenberg was one of the incidental characters in that episode. But I'm just blanking on it.
I know everyone always talks about Jake Jolly or whatever in Fox, but until we get on another network like ESPN or NBC or CBS doing it as well, then it'll really be seeping into there.
Then it'll be who has the headiest tracks.
Yeah.
What was it? Was it Chalk Dust that was in the Super Bowl that one year? What was it with the Falcons?
Yeah.
Ooh,
That
the
was
Falcons.
fucking crazy. Or oh shit, what about the Conan O'Brien? There was a Conan O'Brien bit or sketch about fish.
Yeah.
That was funny. Oh, and the SNL
Yeah, there
one.
you go, Brian. That's totally it. That's totally what I was thinking of.
You know, it's a bad example of it,
nice.
but fairly recently, and I only knew about it because all the normies know I'm a fish fan, so they brought it up to me. But a couple of years ago, I guess it was at the Bakers, or maybe it was one of the MSG runs for New Year's. Stern and his whole crew, Howard Stern, were talking about the Nitrous Mafia and the fish shows, and like my boss and all these people were like, "Oh, are you huffing balloons after these shows?" Because they know I go to the shows, but they don't know what it is. And I guess Stern went ranting about it for like a half hour on the show, and everyone kept coming up to me like, "Oh, you huffing balloons?" I was like, "I have no idea what you're talking about."
Kind of feel- Yeah, that's a big.
Yeah,
one.
And the limited edition, it's ice cream.
No. We mentioned the Simpsons one at the top as the obvious one. Yeah. But if somebody, I've never seen the Simpsons. Yeah, so I don't know. I can't talk about it.
If you were going to make a fish ice cream, what would you call it?
Fish food.
It's already out there.
All right.
That was worth
What
it.
would you call it, Kev? That's
I said it and then I was like, I don't have an answer, and I knew
That's why I shut you down. You're just throwing these grenades into the conversation.
Well, I guess it would have to be something with mango, like a mango habanero kind of thing or something.
Mango habanero. Ice cream?
Yeah.
Well, let's see. This isn't original either, but I like
be a
the
sore
follow
bet.
flavor. It's ice cream.
Yeah.
Was really good. Goo ball, yes.
Goo ball's a good one.
Goo ball. Thank you.
Goo ball. Yeah, you go. I would definitely eat some goo ball. Fucking Ben and Jerry's.
Ben and Jerry's goo ball. You know what? We gotta use this episode as a catalyst for bits in 2024. Like we make a Ben and Jerry's commercial with goo ball flavored ice cream.
There we go. I like it.
It's like you take a bite, like the best part of the chunks and the mysterious flavors, and then you start melting away.
And the spoon is like a glow stick handle on like a spoon, right?
Oh God.
Let's be environmentally bad as we can.
I like glow sticks.
Yeah. We'll get ethically sourced glow sticks.
Ethically sourced. It's only they use fireflies. They use lightning bugs to make them.
One night at a show when we were I think we were hanging out. I don't remember. Me and I think it was Ben's were like hell bent on coming up with a recyclable, like, you know, green version of a glow stick. And or maybe it was you and I, Kev. I don't know, but like we got this in our head because it was one of those things like, oh, let me write out my business plan, right? Like you're just on the right mix and stuff. And we like put in some really concentration, like firm concentration. It did not pan out well. Like 45 minutes into, we're like, this is impossible.
They'd have to be biodegradable.
Yeah.
You use bioluminescence.
Just release fireflies or lightning. Are they fireflies or lightning bugs? What do you
It
guys?
depends
call
on where you live in America.
No, I know. I'm asking
Fireflies.
you.
Oh, I
Yeah.
call them lightning bugs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say lightning bugs.
We used to catch them in jars, and then you'd leave them in the jar all night, and you'd have a bunch of dead lightning bugs. In the morning.
You gotta poke holes in the lid,
Destroying
dumbass.
shit.
Nice, Kev. Just killing them.
Yeah.
That's pretty brutal, man.
No,
I
it
didn't
wrong with
is.
say
you?
I was 9. What do you want? From me?
How do
I
you
went out
not
the
know
next
it
day
needed
to play with
air?
them, and they were dead. They were all done. I was like, what did I do?
Oh my god.
I don't think glow sticks are going away, but like entirely, but they've definitely had a downturn. Like they're not as up.
They're not as
And I think it's
trendy.
I think personally, like if anyone gives a shit what my take is on it, which whatever. But like if you bring the skinny ones that aren't gonna hurt somebody and you throw them and you only have a few, awesome. The assholes that brought the boxes upon boxes upon boxes of them to dicks and just like showered them onto people, that was kind of a tool move, I think, in my opinion.
I
And
like the big clunky ones because you can nail someone. Someone was a dick to you. You see them like 10 rows in front of you. You're like, nah.
go up right behind them at the rail and
Oh, sorry, dude.
Yeah, when they get
Yeah,
whipped,
except
even
you're
on
all
the floor
drunk
or
until
whatever,
you're
like,
off
when-
and you hit a random person. Some poor
People
bastard just
whip
sitting
'em.
there enjoying a tweezer gets hit.
the big
right
ones
in the
do look better though. Like, can we all just be honest with each other for a second? The big ones look way better flying through the air. Like you shouldn't
get
do it.
the
I'm not
trails.
condoning it, but
You get the trails off.
you
of
get the
big
trails behind it. Exactly. You don't get the trails with the skinny ones. You barely see the skinny ones.
Well, that it's all in the throw too, though. Like the skinny ones, you got to throw high. You got to arc them so
Yeah.
like they go.
I like
up,
the snake
so it
they
gets
make
the-
out of the skinny ones though. When they chain them all together and they have the snake that goes
Mhm.
through.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They did that at Dick's this year. We got one.
Yeah, they did it every year. Well, the last
I stayed away. I was
few
like,
years.
if I touch it, I'm breaking it apart, and I'm going to go to hell for like breaking the magic of the.
Kevin, why'd you break it?
YouTube keeps telling me that they want to run an ad, and I told them to fuck off because last time I forgot to do that, and everybody was upset about it. So I'm like, nah, YouTube, nah.
How does that work? If they ran an ad, they would just catch us a minute later. They would stop
Yeah.
what we're doing, even though we're live.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if we hit the 60-minute mark and want to go into overtime, we could
We'll
run an ad. Instead
Speaking
of
of that,
credits.
like and subscribe. Like and subscribe.
Chad, you got any anything you guys want to talk about? Any
Well, we could talk about this John Mayer thing,
Yeah, we could.
We could.
Or we could not.
right?
Go
Well,
ahead.
so apparently John Mayer had some very laudatory things to say about Rick from Goose, and of course PT had to get on it
Laudatory?
and go into Mayer got paid off. It became a payola thing, and I was like, really, guys, come on. Maybe he really likes him. Maybe someone did suggest to him, hey, we're pushing this band. Can you say something nice about him? But that's how businesses work.
I can totally buy Rick being on his radar though, because they played at Playing in the Sand and they're fucking Goose. Like, I'm sorry, this isn't 2018. Like, they've made it. Like, I'm not saying that I'm like the biggest Goose fan, but I think it's fucking absurd when people are still talking to them like they're a new band and they're not going to make it. Like, they fucking made it. They're headlining
yeah.
festivals. Like, yeah, okay,
There
Mayer's
may
heard
be a
of them.
regression. There may be a regression 5 years down where they aren't playing.
And I'm not saying that they're like the next Fish or any of that shit, but the idea of like, oh, they're still a small time band. Like, no, they're fucking a well-known popular band.
They're T1B.
Yes, they are. They have gotten into the upper tiers. They have gotten to the point where none of us can get an interview with them anymore. Okay, but still, Mo was a fucking tertiary on that festival last year. And listen, I don't want you guys to put me in this position where I'm sitting here fucking defending Goose again. That's not my thing. But like, you got to give some props, some respect, right? I mean, I guess
Right, but you don't have to go honkers about it, man.
No, that's just what I do at this point. At this point in the night, I get a little fired up. I'm all, all jazzed
Let me tell you
up.
another thing about Goose.
I have conflicting feelings about that band.
I
I'm
mean,
not gonna lie.
my whole thing is everything isn't for everyone. I've gave it a try. I've always said I'll go if I go see them. I have a great time, but I'm not going to throw on a goose.
Didn't you fall asleep
show.
in the middle of one of their shows? Like
I did fall asleep in Philly during apparently the best jam, but the problem was I had gotten yelled at before that for me and Greg Knight were hanging out just BSing.
Talking your asses off.
Gonna have a kid soon, and we kept getting dirty looks from like
Chomping.
Ryan people.
He's not on the rail pushing people all the way. He's standing around talking the whole show. Come to a show with Kev. It's great.
Yeah. Oh, dude, remember when he invited us? He's like, we'll get you on the list for Gorilla Toss. Come hang out and watch with us. And then him and Matt Bush chomp the whole time.
Chomping the whole time.
We were there early, had the worst seats in the house because we didn't go in because we were talking. Like I don't know.
Kevin's on a mission to hit every stereotype of every type of fan. He's the guy that's raging too hard. He's the guy that falls asleep at his show. He's in a K-hole. He's the guy that's chomping through his show. He's the one dancing his ass off. He's the one that's meditating. He's the one storming the rail. He's the one laying back on the lawn. He's doing everything. He's fucking the most ADD fan ever.
Man,
oh, dude, we got to make one of those neutral good, neutral evil charts of the.
And it's all Kev just
yeah.
Man of all the people.
Oh man, I was spinning during Life Beyond a Dream at the Man. Actually,
I've seen you do all of those things. Like, I'm not making this shit up. I've literally seen you do all of that.
Depends on where the stars are aligned.
Yeah, no, it's so funny, man. Yeah, you're fun to see a show with. All of you guys are good to see a show with. That's cool too, because like we meet like people, like we all met through this right before we met in person, years before.
Right, yeah.
And like we get along on here, but then like I'm kind of particular of like how I am at a show and who I want to be with at a show. And like I'm not judging you if you do like if you're your own thing, but like I don't want like to be like the guy next to me completely like not jiving with like what I'm doing. And you guys are all good show buddies, if that makes sense, right? Like you're not like, well, except for Kev when he's chomping, but I just walk away though.
I will say I'm probably the most boring person to sit next to because or stand next to during a show because I just vibe out the whole time. I don't do anything else.
Yeah, I do a lot of that. My wife makes fun of me because my mouth will start to open. Like I'll just be like, you know, bobbing, and then like by like the end of the first set, I'm like.
I just want to say, in my defense, at this Goose show, we were in the friends and family box, so I wasn't bothering
with all the
VIP before dancing. I was just bothering the.
Sounds
VIP.
more like a humble brag, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's totally a humble brag. It's also all the people that are like influencers on like Twitter and shit. So literally all the people that are going to tell everyone that you were chopping your ass off.
I am going to.
You're like with RJ and Young Ryan and shit, and they're all like, "Oh yeah, that wook+ guy, we want to shut the fuck up."
The thing was,
we did get a question from the chat.
Half the people in the box were friends and family, so they were sitting there talking too. I was talking to someone's girlfriend, you know.
So what's more annoying? What's more annoying, having Kev talking to Greg while it's going on, or having Ryan or somebody else shouting the lyrics and singing at full volume during the song? Just saying.
Right. I tell you, I used to love out Get Out of Here If You Don't Know when the Dead did Desolation Row. I would just randomly sing that one line out of the song because I thought it was cool to yell "Get out of here if you don't know."
Yeah. You do that with Don't Doubt Me too.
Oh yes, I'm a genuine asshole.
A genuine asshole. Yeah.
Don't doubt me.
So do you want the
Yeah, give it to us.
All right, yeah. Best ground score you guys have found.
Oh, I got a great one. 95 at RFK. No, 92 at RFK. We're after the show. Look down. There is a Guadi pouch. Those tiny little pouches. $600 and a bunch of tickets in it. No ID, no anything. So I pick it up. We stood there for an hour until they started kicking us out of the lot, and I went in with $600 and front row seats to Giant Stadium 2 nights later.
You say you stayed there
Wow.
for an hour, but that was probably like 10 minutes as you were slowly like walking away. Like, I don't think anyone's coming to
Running
this.
Homer into the bush.
Over the years, it's turned into we waited an hour there for those people to come back, and they
And
never
we
came.
sat there and drank beer with some guy. You know?
Mhm.
A couple years ago, I found a tray of baklava underneath my exhaust pipe in the lot, and man, was that no, that's not true. I don't think I've actually ever had like legit had a ground score. at a
Leftover
Yeah,
leftover
sorry,
shrimp.
Kyle.
Well, you know why? Because I'm like slow. Like I'm not slow, but like I'm like not the guy that like like there's squirrely people in the crew that are always like running around and like grabbing shit. And, like they
Yeah.
spot it before me. I'm like usually the one that's just kind of like chilling, like walking slower in the group,
Right.
like hanging out. And then the guy next to me is the one that gets the ground score. They're the one that's like, oh, look what I just found. You're like, oh, sweet.
There's
Yeah.
Good
always
for you,
people
man.
watching, so you see it happen. But I think it was 94 walking into a show. We had just gotten in an accident on the freeway in Oakland in my buddy's VW bus. We'd driven from Fort Collins to Oakland. We'd finally made it. We drove through a storm in Tahoe, all this shit. We finally get to Oakland, get in a fucking my buddy rear ends a car on the fucking freeway. Like you can see Oakland Coliseum and like you're coming around and rear ends a car. So he's like, and we had just run out of weed the night before in Tahoe because we had to spend the night in Tahoe and we ate all the mushrooms and then I smoked the weed while we were on the mushrooms running around the casinos. So I was so pissed we were out of weed. We're walking in the show. This guy in front of us, I was talking to my buddy and he put his hand in his pocket and pulled his hand out of his pocket with his ticket. But then like I saw something fall on the ground in front of me. So I kind of like took a step and stood on the stuff like the bag that
hit
fell
it.
out.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah,
just kind
yeah.
of stood there for a second, and then the
Solid
cab
move.
like stood there and waited to see if he was going to come back for a minute, like see if he noticed anything or anything. So stood there, and then I was like, "All right, hang on." Bent down, picked it up. It was like a full quarter of weed, like just like the god. Like I was like, perfect. Yes. So then we had weed for the drive home after the show. It was great.
There
But
you
yeah,
go.
that's my best ground.
I
score
lost
so far.
mushrooms at Dick's this year, and somebody was like, "Do you want to go find them?" I was like, "It was $20 worth of mushrooms." No, like, I'm not gonna go try to find.
So see, you were like you miracled somebody a ground score of $20 worth of mushrooms there. In the
There you
lot.
go.
And now someone's telling their friends, "I found these mushrooms in the lot."
There's two kind of wooks on lot. There's those who find ground scores and those of us that
Who
provide
calls
ground
them?
scores.
Yeah. I was saying, I think
I'm
I
one of the wooks
provide
that
them.
call. Yeah, I'm a provider. Eric had a
good.
crazy story scoring mushrooms and bud and going the wrong way on 95. That's fucking
I hate
terrifying.
when that happens.
That is literally the scariest. Like that's my biggest nightmare. I was watching
really?
Planes, Trains, and Automobiles on Thanksgiving, as one does, because it's the best Thanksgiving movie. And I both love that scene with the
devil.
piano. Yeah. But then, like when he's like the two trucks, I've had so many nightmares in my life of that exact scenario. It is the
When
most
John Candy
terrifying
turns
thing
into the
ever.
devil though and looks at him in the devil costume, like the first time I saw it in the theater, I had tears in my eyes. I was laughing so fucking hard. That was classic.
Oh, I love this question.
My ex-wife went the wrong way after we left the Watergate Hotel one night.
Was that when Nixon was
When they were
No, we went to
escaping.
Kennedy. We went to the Kennedy Center, saw Los Hombres Calientes, and then went to Watergate to have a glass of port afterwards. And
that is
yeah,
the
we
most
left about
normal I've ever heard you pronounce water. All you had to do is put gate at the end of it.
yeah.
and we're sitting. The guy left the bottle in front of us, right? It was like $40 a glass for this port. It was really good port. But the guy left the bottle in front of us, so I took it with me when I left the bar.
Because he left
that's
it.
not a ground score. That's just
That's stealing. That's
Street
just
larceny,
theft.
man.
and so we get in the car and Amanda's driving, we're leaving, and I start slugging the bottle, and that's when she goes the wrong way, and she blamed me for stealing the bottle.
Oh, right. We're talking about the highways.
Made her go the wrong way.
Okay. Thanks for looping us back around. Now we know where we're going with this.
I want to go back to this question though. I like this one because this has changed. I think it does depend on venues because like some venues have horrible fucking lots. But I've gotten in recent years, my older age, I like to get there early and chill because for whatever reason, I can't. I have like some anxiety, and when I'm like at the house or the hotel or the campsite or whatever before the show, I can't properly relax and chill until I'm on lot. So now I'll get on lot early and just post up and hang out, and then that's when I can like fucking, you know. But then you go to like Merriweather or some of these venues, and the lots are terrible, so it's not, you know, not worth it. What do you guys? No.
I tell you what, if I'm in a city at a hotel going to a venue, like let's say Madison Square Garden, I'll sleep till 6 o'clock. Grab something to eat and run into the
especially
venue.
if you're staying in the city. If you're at a hotel in the city, yeah.
Well, yeah,
But
it
like-
depends on if I have seats. Like if I'm posting up in the stands, then I could give a shit. Like get in late seats. But if I'm going in floor and I want to get up front, like then it's a, you know, it's an operation.
This year, we went a couple days. We went early. One Sunday, I went and did something with another Amanda 3.0, Amanda 3.0. And didn't get there till late, and it was so cool. I got dropped off at 7:30, which I would have walked right in and gone to the show, but of course there was the lightning delay and all that last night. So
yeah, it was crazy. Yeah, I do not. But just to be clear, I do not hit shakedown for an hour. I don't know anyone that could do that. I'll usually do one pass if I'm hungry or whatever. Whatever reason, I'll usually do one pass through shakedown and then post up at the car.
2 years ago, we did good. If we were on shakedown.
Barely.
That's ideal.
Rarely like pre-show do I like to hit. I like to just kind of, if I'm gonna tailgate in the lot, just kind of hang out with a group like we did and like have beers and our own little setup and chill and then go in together, whatever that is, if I'm not going in early. Otherwise, post-show, I'll go do a walk around, you know, obviously balloons and find some food, hopefully.
Post-show lots.
We went to Cayenne. I took Kai with me to see Dead and Company up in Philly, and we didn't get there till right before the show, so we went in. They were playing the first song by the time we walked in, but afterwards she wanted to go to Shakedown, so we went to the nighttime after the show Shakedown with all the Spun people, and she was like, "This is the greatest thing."
It's either bacon in every motherfucking bite, or I did get a tie-dye recently a lot right before I started doing it myself.
I probably bought
because
a beer.
I spilled a beer. No, somebody spilled a beer on the shirt I was wearing walking out of the venue, so that's why I got the shirt. But I think it's bacon in every motherfucking bite.
Tacos.
Yeah, of course.
I'm sure I bought a beer or something at Dick's, but that would probably be it.
Shirts, yeah, balloons.
I don't know. So you think I should sell shirts? You think people would buy them? I like the idea of like making money and like making the shirts and shit, but I don't like the idea of slinging them all night. Like I rather just be chilling with like friends.
Are you trying to start? You're trying to start a tie-dye business?
I was thinking about it.
Oh, you got a slogan?
I do. You need a dye? I'm your guy.
There you go.
We got
I know it's gonna be on next
shouldn't have
week.
just give them that for free. We should have made that. I could have announced my new tie-dye business.
Well, now we know what we're doing next week's slogan.
Nobody's watching right now. Forget you saw this. Yeah.
All right.
That's a business to be in. I had some guy give me a big old nasty looking moldy ass white fuzzy mushroom at Dick's last night. I just chopped that thing down. I could not get that taste out of my mouth for like an hour. It was.
Do we want to take the bait that SC's laying out, or are we gonna call it? He's coming out a big one late night in the show.
Oh, you want to jump into that? I mean,
I don't know. I'm asking you guys. I could go either way.
Not really. We
it.
talked about it, and we talked about
but that
it
was for
a
like
little bit.
that was for like 8 members. I know Lama. I could see it in his eyes. He's like, I'm getting tired, man.
Lama's ready to go to bed.
You see that? He's so ready. He's like, fucking let's go.
He's like, we're 10 minutes over, guys.
10 minutes over. Yeah.
I even got us through all the segments on a time, and
curfew.
I'll give you 30 seconds on it, SC. It was the venue that did it. The band bought into it. They realized that they stepped into a pile, so they dropped the 15%. I really don't think it's that bad of a deal because they include tickets. They let you stay there.
The 15% was fucked up, though.
Huh?
You say it's not that bad of a deal. It's not a bad deal for $500, but 15% of sales is.
Oh, it
atrocious.
is. Yes. And the other thing is, it would be $150 for you to buy a 2-day vendor pass if you wanted to be legitimate. And apparently, they're going to have cops running around busting people who aren't, in order for Hampton Coliseum to stay financially solvent. They need to make this extra money.
It was definitely the venue came to play. I agree, but it came out of Goose's official channels, and they reviewed it and agreed to it, and they fucked up by not doing that ahead of time. That said, I'm going to give them credit and props again that they handled it properly, and as soon as it went out, they did exactly the right thing, and they addressed it quickly, and they took care of it. But I'm not going to sugarcoat and be like, "Oh, Goose didn't do anything wrong." Like, bottom line is, it came out through them for their event. They should have had a little bit more PR awareness and not tried to fuck over the vendor. And honestly, I hate the 15% for bands too. We remember it was a Microdose or Live a couple weeks ago, or maybe a month or two ago. We were talking about how fucked up it was that the venues do that to the bands for their own merch,
because Live Nation said they weren't going to for certain sides.
Right, like they're like, "Oh, look at us, pat us on the back." You're like, I can't believe they're trying to pull that shit off to begin with, and now they're trying to do it to us.
How about I smack you in your face instead of patting you on your back?
All right. Well, maybe Llama will get his wish. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. Like and subscribe. If you're watching this afterwards, let us know in the comments about any of these topics, or just say hello. We love to interact with you guys in the comments, and we'll see you next time. That's the wrong one. Fucking nailed it.
Oops.
Should have played the other intro.
It's have another 5 years. Happy birthday. Because you know they ain't getting 40.
I like talking about fish. We should do that more often.
Fish. On.
Hashtag
Hey,
fish
Kev.
40.
Hey, Kev. What do you call a fish with no eyes?
I don't know.